Hello, how are you doing? Thanks for joining me again. Hope you're well. What have I got for you today? Well, I have managed to pick up on a little jaunt into Manchester a couple of rolls of expired film very cheaply. I got this 400 T-Max, which you can still get, but it costs about 15 to 20 pounds per roll where I've looked. But I got it for £4 because it's 5 years out of date. Now, I think that's going to be absolutely fine. And I'm going to shoot it in my half frame camera because it's supposed to be very fine grain, so getting a half size negative, it's good to have fine grain. This came with 400 speed Ultramax, so I'm guessing that it should be a pretty good comparison. I've shot 200 speed film in it as well and it's come out okay for scanning, so I reckon that's a fairly safe bet. This, on the other hand, I do not think is a safe bet. I think this is a bit of a gamble. This cost me £8 and it is Kodak Elite Chrome 200. Now, I don't know how expired this is because there is no package for it, but I believe they stopped making it in about 2010, 2011, so it's got to be that old at least. It's slide film, and that is very unforgiving, so there is the potential to have just a completely blank roll come back on that. When I shot very colour film, which is a colour negative film, you can watch the video for that if you want. It was about 30 years out of date and it was absolutely fine, and I used the idea that you always overexpose a stop per decade, but with this I think I'm just going to go for box speed and I'm going to do bracketing plus and minus on a few of the shots just to make sure we've given it the best chance we can. But it's an experiment, it's fun. I expect we're going to get some weird colour shifts, we're going to get some strange grain, who knows, we might well get a blank film. But I'm going to load it up into my EOS 620 and give it a go. So without further ado, let's load up and get out there. So the first shot I'm going to take with the Elite Chrome is going to be of the mill. Now, I know I've shot it lots of times before, but it's a good test subject. The sun is out really nice, so I'm going to bracket one over as it should be and one under, and we'll see how we do. I'm going to set it to 1/80th of a second and we'll let it select the aperture. So really good news, the film did come out. There's a slight magenta shift you can probably see on this, but the exposure looks pretty good. This is one stop underexposed. If we look at the one stop overexposed, that does look a bit washed out, although the magenta cast is less. The correct exposure did look like it was actually the best result, and I'm glad about that because I shot pretty much everything else at box speed, and you can see that although there's the magenta cast, once it's been edited slightly in camera raw, it's possible to get rid of all that colour shift and get a really nice image. Obviously, back in the days when you would just be projecting this slide, that probably wouldn't be acceptable, but these days I don't see any problem with shooting this kind of film. I did read somewhere that this particular film did have quite a wide exposure latitude for slide film, and I was happy to see that that was the case, but that there was a very fine grain. So it's getting on for sunset here in Stockport, and I thought I'd take advantage of the fact that this Elite Chrome is 200 speed, and most slide film that I've tried, it's been 100 speed or 64, so that might actually make it good to get pictures in the evening. That might be counteracted by the fact that it's so out of date, but we shall see. It's interesting light here in Stockport at the moment. Dusk in about 20 minutes. Let's see what we can get. So this first image, again, it shows that there is a good latitude, good dynamic range to this film, even after 20 years or so on the shelf past its expiry date. It's not a very interesting shot, but the light was really nice, and I think the next couple of shots show that to a greater extent. This first one though, you can see the magenta colour shift really quite strongly, but again it's easy to remove that magenta shift in Camera Raw, just a couple of tweaks with the sliders and it's looking right as rain. This one I think again shows the dynamic range of the film and how the colour rendition is pretty good. There's a minimal tweaking doing here, but it's a lovely shot of the famous red brick viaduct in Stockport with some interesting cloud at dusk and of course a train going over, which just adds the icing on top of the cake. And I was really pleased to get this one as well as I walked past the community fire station with a really dramatic sky behind and the evening light reflecting in the glass of the windows above. I also tried to get some ones to show the different lighting effects of the slide film. So this fluorescent lighting from a Chinese takeaway is really quite nice. I like the shape of the building, which is interesting, and you can see there is still some information in the sky. You are getting that evening sky there. This one again, really dramatic clouds and the light, it does give some sense of how dramatic that sunset was, and again you've got the lights coming on in the tower block there. And again on this one there is a slight magenta caustic, but I think that adds something, if anything, to this shot of a lonely house with the windows like mirrors against the setting sun. Quite a nice sort of Hopper-esque image, I think. So dusk has been and gone. There's still a little bit of light in the sky, and I just want to get one last shot. Might use up the film tonight and get it processed tomorrow. We'll see, or maybe there'll be one left. But I just want to get a picture of the end of this tram stop because I think it might be quite good. Yeah, I took a couple of shots of the tram stop. Not the most exciting, but it's kind of nice colours and the lights in the sky again with the cloud detail. It is kind of interesting. In a bid to finish off the roll that night, I wandered a little bit further and I got this last picture of another Chinese restaurant, and I think this one actually is really nice. The other one, it showed the lighting, but this one, the composition, it looks lonely again. It fits with my brand of photography, the solitary figure waiting alone inside, just lit in the pool of darkness with just a few traffic lights for company. So I think that was a pretty successful roll, really. But what about the T-Max, which I had higher expectations of to start with? Well, I took the Ecto half-frame camera out the following day and had a wander around Stockport. The first shot I took was an abandoned shopping trolley outside the abandoned Sainsbury's. And yeah, I think it shows that there is a lot of resolution in this film. There's far more than I would have expected in a half-frame. And this shot as well, one person sat at the bus stop looking at some other people on the other side. It shows that there is the dynamic range and that even though it's slightly out of date, the film's working absolutely fine. This one I really like. It's a couple of people that were carrying a piece of board. I think they were doing some repairs to one of the premises nearby. And it's just got that kind of silent movie Charlie Chaplin look to it, which I kind of like. And here I was trying to show the people waiting for coffees at the little pop-up coffee shop while somebody else is having their haircut in the barber shop next door. Not as successful as I would have liked it to have been, but it shows that the film has got the resolution. I just need to be a bit more careful with my composition. And this one is probably my favourite from that roll of T-Max. This was a Vietnamese cafe, and I just love the lighting and the way the central subjects are silhouetted. That's actually a dog in the centre of the picture there. I don't know if you can make it out. But yeah, I don't know. Again, there's something kind of Blade Runner-y, Hopper-y about this one, and that is definitely my vibe. So yeah, really happy with that one. I did take a few more pictures, but there's nothing really worth showing here. I think I can say, though, that it is definitely worth shooting the expired film. I saved so much money by not using fresh film, and of course it's just lovely to be able to try films that you can't really get fresh anymore. Okay, so another photo experiment in expired film complete. I hope you enjoyed the ride. I'll be back soon with some more content, but to make sure you don't miss it, please do subscribe, like and share as always, really helps me out. Take care of yourselves, enjoy what you're shooting. Bye for now.